Yeah, it feels like we've had a lot of time since, because we've done a considerable amount of analysis. So, yeah, I think whenever you deliver a performance like that, it's never one-dimensional. There's been multi-factors that we've reflected on. But I think the most important thing from our experiences in Europe have been the quick turnaround in games. The focus very quickly has to go on to the next game, and that's not sort of trying to brush things under the carpet. We faced, how we played, and we've analysed it, but now we have to move on and look forward.
More analysis than usual, was it?
No, not necessarily. We do thorough analysis anyway, but I think from my side, I think it's never a nice thing to do after that kind of performance. But I think I'm very confident now that we've sort of digested it. And once you have all the information you need, as I say, you have to look forward and make sure the performance is better.
How are you looking injury-wise? No Bruno this morning. Has he got a chance tomorrow? And of course, you were missing Kieran Trippier at the weekend as well. What's his situation? Yeah,
so there seems like there's been a bit of illness going through the squad, because that's various players now have picked something up. So I think Sandro, initially, Jacob Murphy, Bruno, Kieran. So we're making a decision on Bruno tomorrow. He's such an important player for us, but he's clearly not been himself, and that's why I missed training today.
Thanks, Keith. We've got Damien and then Lee on the same row, please.
Hi, Eddie. During your time here, the team has traditionally, after a bad performance, responded to it. Do they owe themselves and you a better performance tomorrow night?
Well, I don't think they owe me, because I think I'm very much included in that bad performance. So I look at it that way, that we're all together and we all have to deliver better. So very focused on trying to do that with the players. Yeah, I think that there's always a feeling of frustration, different emotions when you play that way, that you then try and use to your advantage for the future. And as you say, historically we have usually responded pretty well. We've tried to use performances like that as a catalyst for better, to try to learn from the experience. It's not the first time it's happened, it won't be the last. It's when you're in this game, especially with the amount of games we have to play, there will be dips in performance, but it's controlling that. And as I've said many times, even when you don't play well, you can still win, and we didn't deliver that aspect at all well.
I mean, a win tomorrow night would leave you in a really strong position. How much of an incentive is that, given the difficulty of the fixtures to come?
Yeah, it's a really important game for us, because, as you say, we know what we have ahead in the Champions League, but that's not to say that this game is going to be easy either. I think we are back at home. We love playing here, as we say many times. But Athletic Club will provide stiff opposition, very good a defensive team. In terms of their defensive numbers, are very, very strong. Off the ball, I think they've delivered this year some really strong performances in particular. So I think from that side, our attacking game is going to have to be at its very best. And of course, Champions League nights here are always special.
Thank you. Got a lead on the front, please.
Eddie, it's still very early in the season. You've still got 4 roads to a potential success story this season. Do you keep reminding yourself of that after a game like Sunday?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think reminding ourselves of that. I think we're well aware of sort of the season, and we're right in the midst of a run of games that is hugely enjoyable but hugely challenging. I think we're disappointed with our Premier League form and the inability to string consistent results together, and I think that's where the competitions that we're in makes it difficult, because you can find consistency in one, and it seems like you're being consistent. Like our recent run of games hasn't been too bad, and results-wise has actually been pretty strong, but in the Premier League in particular, we just haven't got those back-to-back wins that we need to elevate ourselves. And
you asked the players for honesty after the game. Were you convinced that you got that, the response of the players?
Yeah, I think the lads are very good in that respect. I think they do critique themselves honestly. I think they do reflect in that way. Even in some of the aspects of the performance were very honest, even though we didn't play very well. There was still some bits, although we didn't play well, I'm not trying to kid people otherwise, there was still some strains of us in there. But obviously there was a lot of aspects of our game that weren't clicking, and the challenge is to put those right.
And just finally on Aaron Ramsdale, what does he have to do to get into the team for a game of this magnitude tomorrow night?
I think Aaron's we're really pleased with his progression since he's been here. I think we've seen a big good performances in training from him. Obviously, he played very well in the game. I mean, but obviously I understand the question. But Nick has performed consistently as well, and our defensive record's been pretty strong this year. There's been a couple of blips in there, but through the whole of the season, I think that's been probably our strongest point. So, look, always decisions to make on the team, and it's important we have that strength.
Thank you. We'll go Craig, Ian, and then Daniel on this side, please.
Hi Eddie, it was after the Brentford game last season when I think you came as close as you've ever done to reading a riot act, and there was the response on the back of it, the 10 victories. Did Sunday in a strange way feel like you fell into that hole that nadir from which you can climb out, and were riot acts read?
Yeah, I don't think riot acts is the right word. As I think I said at the time after the Brentford game, I think whenever you produce a type of performance that we did against West Ham, you want to use it as a turning point. But riot acts, I don't think help. It just lets you let off steam. I think you've got to be articulate, and you've got to communicate your points well to the players so they understand actually what you didn't like and what they've got to do better. I know it sounds obvious, but sometimes you have to get the simplistic viewpoint to the players and get the basics and fundamentals of your game, or you won't perform in any match. So I think it's a return to basics for us, the fundamentals of how we play, and then hoping that we can then perform at a really high level. And as I say, throughout the season, I don't think our general performances have been the problem. It's putting it all together and being consistent.
And I know you would have been asked this on Sunday, but there was two high-profile players taken off at half-time, an England winger and a Germany striker, Anthony and Nick Faltemorda. On reflection now, 48 hours later, what was the thinking behind that? How have they reacted, and where do you think they're at generally in terms of their respective seasons?
I think that with Nick, we're well aware that we've thrust him into every single game near enough. I thought he looked a little bit fatigued, and it's a case of making a decision that I felt tried to benefit the team and Nick going forward, because he's carrying a lot of load on his shoulders, which I think if at any stage I feel he is fatigued, then I need to act and help him. So that was the thinking behind that one. With Anthony, look, he's played very well in the Champions League. He hasn't quite hit that form in the Premier League, and I think that's his challenge.
Eddie, a little bit like West Ham, Athletic Club aren't in particular good form. Does Sunday's performance and result act as a timely reminder? It's not the state of the opposition that counts, it's what you do.
Yeah, the focus always has to be on ourselves, and we try to get the balance right between knowing the opposition that we're going to face and their strengths and their weaknesses, but really making sure we don't deviate too far from what we want to do either against any opponent. I'd like to think more often than not we try and strike that balance right. But I felt the most disappointing thing from the West Ham performance was it felt self-inflicted. Some of the aspects of our performance we sort of brought upon ourselves, and that's taking nothing away from West Ham, who won the game deservedly. But when you're focusing on our performance, you know that we can do a lot better.
The lack of consistency this season, is part of it the fact that this is very much a new look team compared to previous years? There's been a lot of new signings. Is it a team still betting in?
Yeah, I think I've got to be slightly careful how I answer that, because answers can be used against you. But in some senses, yes, I think there needs to be an understanding that with new players comes new expectations, and they have to become accustomed to what we do and how we play. And the expectations placed upon them, I think whenever you play for Newcastle, you can't have an off day mentally, you can't have an off day physically. In the Premier League, you can't do those things either, because the game will punish you. So I think hopefully we're learning and developing as a new team all the time. In saying that, there's a lot of experience on the pitch, a lot of know-how, and I'd have expected us to handle it a bit better.
Eddie, Bridget, on one of your previous answers, how important is your man management at this stage and knowing what to say to certain players depending on how they process a defeat in a performance like you had at West Ham?
Yeah, I think man management's very, very important, regardless of whether you're winning or losing, because both can be equally difficult. So yeah, I think I try to be very active with the players all the time, very communicative in all types of scenarios. Obviously, going into a game, I'd like to think I'll talk to the majority of the players about what's expected of them going into the next game. So yeah, a lot of work done the last few days.
And just how much of a frustration is it to you that when you're going from weekend game to midweek game to weekend game, that you're losing that training time, given how much you enjoy being out on the training pitch?
Sort of got used to that, I think, throughout this season and the season before last, in the respect that the training literally does fall away, and you're training in sort of very small bursts. I think the difficulty really in that scenario is for the players that aren't playing regularly, because they're missing out on the training and the games. So they have a tough season, I think, mentally. I think for the players that are playing, it's slightly easier because you're just going from game to game if they're playing regularly. The challenge for us is to prepare the games well. As I say, the training becomes of less importance.
Thank you. We'll go the gentleman at the back there in the black hoodie, and then we'll go Mark, George and Dom on this side, please.
Mr. Good afternoon, José Manuel Monge, Onda Vasca, Bilbao. No sé si conoce la convocatoria del Athletic, pero no viajan los hermanos Williams, tampoco Sancet y tampoco Yuri. ¿Qué valoración hace de esta convocatoria del Athletic?
Yeah, obviously very aware of the squad, and of course the manager. I've met the manager previously, and I think he's an outstanding tactician. But yeah, the Williams brothers are outstanding players, so well aware they've got a few injury problems, but we still expect a very, very strong squad, very strong opponent, very good manager, and a very good way of playing. I've watched them a lot, and I really admire their structure and how they play. So it's the Champions League, it's a game against top-class opposition. We know it's going to be very difficult.
Thank you. Mark, next, please.
You touched on Anthony Gordon there, like maybe not quite reaching the Premier League, playing really well in the Champions League, but maybe not quite hitting those heights in the Premier League. Have you had a chat with him about it? Are you kind of any closer to why that might be? Because he's an honest player, and he probably will admit himself that he didn't quite reach those heights.
Yeah, I've had many discussions with Anthony, and will continue to. As you say, he's a very honest player. There's no lack of effort or commitment or desire to do well. I think he's very, very driven to succeed. I've said that's one of his biggest qualities. Sometimes things fall that way. I mean, a game of football is a game of football, regardless of the competition. He's an outstanding player. But of course, we need more from everybody in the Premier League. It's not just Anthony, it's everyone connected with all the styles of our play, whether it's attacking, defending. But the league is of such a high level, regardless of who you play. And there, of course, there's added challenges for us mentally when we're returning from European games or cup games back to the Premier League, and we need to make that transition better.
That was one of the things that you kind of targeted this season to get through the Champions League. Has it been what you'd expected? The sort of Sunday, Wednesday, or Saturday, Tuesday? Has it been easier this time to manage, or is it still difficult?
I don't think easier is there in with the schedule that we have. It's what we want first and foremost. The games are an amazing experiences, but there's challenges. I think there's challenges with all types of schedules. I think it's the mental challenge rather than the physical challenge, in my opinion. I thought West Ham was a mental challenge for us, and we failed it. So I think there's always learnings to take and improvements to make, tweaks to adjust, whatever we're doing, whether it's our schedule or how we're approaching things. And we try to do that to improve things.
George?
Hi, Eddie. You're playing a team that has a very specific Basque identity. Is there such a thing as a Geordie identity in footballing terms? And if so, what do you think it looks like?
That's a good question, George, that one. Yeah, I think there is. I think I'm lucky enough that my kids are playing football here, so I'm seeing the grassroots side of the game from various ages, from under 7s right up to under 15. So I'm sort of getting a unique look at football at that level, which is a great thing to experience, really, from my perspective, because you're seeing the enthusiasm and the love for the game here is unparalleled. And I think that'd be similar. I've visited both at Athletic Club and Real Sociedad, and had a really good few days there many years ago. And it was really good to experience football in that part of the world. And I think the love of the game, I think, is the link there, and the enthusiasm and the love and passion for football that the Geordies have is, as I said, I think it's unparalleled.
Do you have time for one more, please, Dom? Is that all right?
Heidi, after a performance like Sunday, is there a temptation to make a statement with your next team selection?
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. I think I'll always consider the team selection in great detail, in great length. You know, I never set out to make a statement. I'll set out to try and pick a team to win the next game. That's the only statement that we need to make. And so that's what I'll try and do on this occasion. Difficult team to pick, I think, off the back of Sunday, because you could make wholesale changes or you could give the main group of players a chance to redeem themselves for what they delivered or what we delivered. So, yeah, I'm still not 100% there with my team, although it's 99% done.
And sorry, just one more. After the illness, do you think that contributed to Sunday's performance?
To the individuals?
The fact that there's been so many under the weather, is it a concern that that contributed to Sunday?
No, I don't think we can use that as an excuse. I don't think the players would either. Maybe for one or two of the individuals in terms of how they played, but for the main group, no.
Thanks very much. Sorry to anyone who's missed out there. Dan Bairn's waiting now, so
Thank you.
Thank you. Keith?
Hi, Dan. Good to see you. The manager said after the match on Sunday he couldn't defend the performance. A couple of days on, how are you guys feeling after that?
Yeah, I agree. I think normally, like, if you have a bad game and one or two players aren't playing well, you can sort of carry that. But I think you could say that it was pretty much the full team. Had an off day and it was frustrating. I think we sort of let ourselves down. We really wanted to make amends for sort of the away form that it's been this season and push on, and that didn't happen. So it was very frustrating.
After the Tottenham game last midweek, you'd won 3 in a row, 3 different competitions. It felt very much, even just like speaking to fans outside the game afterwards, that you'd kind of turned a corner. So I think that was why that performance was so surprising on Sunday. Can you put a finger on it as to why?
No, it's tough. I think we haven't won in 9 away games or something like that. So I think it's something that I know the manager will be working on to understand why we've not been performing at that. And the frustrating thing is that obviously we've got the Champions League tomorrow, and I think everybody knows that we will turn up for that game, and the crowd will be buzzing and we'll be buzzing and at it, and it's just about trying to replicate those performances away. And I think the years that we've done well, the first year that we qualified for the Champions League, weren't always playing great away from home, but we always sort of picked up results. So maybe we need to do more of the ugly side of the game that we're known for at the time, and probably have came away from that just from sort of the evolution of the squad and sort of the way we've been in the league table.
So just finally for me, that's just from what you said there, that's the frustrating thing, is it? That you know that everyone will sort of be up for it, the performance will be there tomorrow. That's a frustrating thing for you rather than a positive. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, of course it's frustrating, because I think I think it's very, very easy to get up for these games and play in these Champions League nights, because it's what you want to play in your career and on these best games. And I think this is these other games where we'll say Brentford on Sunday is the games where you really got to sort of earn your money and turn up and perform there. So I think that's the frustrating thing for us, that I feel like we've got lads in there that can do it and will do it, and we've got a squad that fights for each other, but we're just not putting in those performances sort of away from home.
We'll go to Craig, Daniel, then Ian.
Aye, Dan, that's very honest what you've said then. It's a great insight as well. Did you stand up and say as much in the dressing room or since?
No, I didn't feel as if I had to, and to be honest, I wasn't happy with my performance. I didn't really think it was time for me to stand up and start sort of pointing fingers, but I think it was sort of everybody knew in that changing room that would sort of let each other down. I think that's the most frustrating thing, because I think we're a very sort of tight-knit group, and we spoke before that there isn't many changing rooms, in my opinion, like we have in our league, the way that we demand from each other and push each other. So I think it was more frustrating that we really wanted to go out there and put on a performance at a team that was struggling, and fail to do that. Even going 1-0 up, I think you expect with them to go and kick on, and it sort of had the opposite effect. And I feel like at this level in the Premier League, it's very cliche, but if you don't turn up, like there's quality in this league to beat you. They've got a very good front line, and we didn't cause them enough problems.
You mentioned yourself there as well, and coming out of the summer and going at the start of the season, you were an England starter, you were playing centre-back, and I think the last time we spoke to you, you said you felt the best you ever had done, and that was, you know, represented by your performances. You were one of, you know, if not one of the best centre-halves in the country. To then have to go to left-back, and it's not through your doing really, it's through necessity. Is there a frustration there when you've looked back at where you were as recently as sort of 6 weeks ago?
Not really, because I still think I've been playing pretty well, to be honest. I think, like, take away the West Ham game aside, like, I feel I've put in good performances at left back, and don't get us wrong, there's very different styles in full backs. Like, if you compare me to Trips or Tino or Hawley, like, we're not the same players. I'm not going to produce the same things that they do, but obviously the manager thinks that I can do what he wants us to do in that position, so I still feel as if I've been playing pretty well. Like I've said it before, like I want to play centre half. That's me best position. Like I was sort of player of the year last year, playing in that position. But I just want to play football, and if the manager thinks that I can help the team play in there, obviously we've had some injuries in that position as well, then so I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Daniel, then Ian, please.
Dan, this group has certainly bounced back from adversity in the past. What's been key in other situations, perhaps at Brentford last season, to solving the problems and then going on these good runs that we know this team is capable of?
Yeah, I think the gaffer spoke about it, just sort of about having like honest reflection. I think it's very easy to just sort of look over results like that and just think, oh, it's just one of those games. But I feel like we've always been very good at being honest with each other and talk about where things aren't going well or places we can improve. And I think you know the manager and the staff now well, that they'll do absolutely everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen again. And that has, obviously, Brentford last year, I know Bournemouth at home last year, we had some bad results. There's every season that we've been, there's been sort of that result where it's been a bit of a wake-up call and think, like, come on, like we need to get back to what we're doing. And then we've went on some pretty good runs. So I said it's nothing that I feel as a group we're worried about. Obviously I'd love to be sat here and we've won every single away game, but that isn't the case. So for us it's just about how we respond and work towards getting the win tomorrow.
And bridging on one of your previous answers, despite the fact that you're not playing perhaps where you'd like to be playing in terms of the team at the moment, has this been the most enjoyable part of your career, perhaps this calendar year? Yeah,
got to be. I think the sort of play the amount of games I've had in obviously the cup final and scoring, and we're winning that, and playing international football and representing my country, this has definitely been the sort of best calendar year I've had. And I don't feel honestly that I'm peaking yet. I still feel as if I'm getting better, and physically I feel good. So yeah, just want to make it continue as much as possible.
Ian, then George Colkin, please.
Hi, Dan. Football, you're obviously too professional to prioritise games, but you're also human as well. Are you going to be more excited for Champions League night at St James's Park than you are for a trip to West Ham or maybe Brentford? Or are you genuinely as excited for all the fixtures?
Well, listen, I think as fans as well, I'm a Newcastle fan as well, so everyone gets excited by the Champions League fixture. So if I sat here and told you that wasn't the case, I'd be lying. I do get excited, and I think until we've been playing in this competition for a number of years, that'll always be the case. But I feel like the challenge for us now is a sort of mentality challenge, whereas like the best teams, in my opinion, which I always say, I feel like Man City are the best at doing this, that whatever competition they go into and however many days rest they've had or whatever, they're always at the certain standards that they're expected and always turn up. And I feel like that's now the challenge for us, now that we're starting to get Champions League football regularly and we're progressing through the cups. More players are playing internationally at the club, that it is about being ready constantly, having that mentality where it doesn't matter who we're playing, where we're playing, what we're doing, that we hit the standards that we expect from each other.
And it is a little bit of a cliche, but is this the perfect fixture on the back of a bad performance on Sunday? Yeah,
listen, I don't think we're taking tomorrow lightly. Athletic Club are a very good team. They're a Champions League club, so we're expecting a very, very tough game. But if you could tell that we could be at home in the next game, sort of under the lights in a Champions League game, then yeah, we would be happy with that.
George, Dom, then Martin, please.
Hi, Dan. For the past couple of years, the team has had a get-out in the sense of having a striker who can pop up with 20-plus goals in the Premier League How different is it now, and how much of a challenge is it for the squad to adapt to a new way of playing?
Yeah, I think Nick might still get 20 this season, to be fair. But yeah, it's different. I think like you look at the physical profiles or just the way that we had Alex last year and Nick this year. It's different. I feel like you've got to adapt, but I feel like we've adapted every season. If you look at the way the team played that first season when we were just trying to stay up, compared to now, it's sort of night and day. And I feel as if you stay still too much at this level, you get caught up and teams go past you. So I do feel as if we're constantly evolving and the manager's wanting to always tweak things and change things and progress with. So yeah, it's definitely different. There's no denying that it's a different way of playing, and but something that like we're enjoying the challenge and sort of the newness of it. And it's about just trying to sort of get everyone on the same page and pushing really.
And you said you think you're not peaking yet, but you are playing a lot of football. I think you played every minute of every game apart from Bradford City. Do you have a secret to that?
Not really. I think I've just always just tried to prepare for every game the same way that I can and control what I can control and recover as best as I can. And I feel like that's always set us up to sort of perform at this level. And I said it before, I think when I was younger and more inexperienced, and even before I had kids, it used to bad games would affect us, good games would affect us. I'd always get quite high and low, whereas now I feel as if I'm quite steady with how I do it, and I feel as if I can control what I can control, then sort of the rest just takes care of itself.
Tom Skerr, please, and then Martin Hardy.
Hi, Dan. Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall are coming back to fitness. You've got Sven Botman, Malik Chow playing well at centre-back. How do you envisage your role in the side changing in the coming weeks or months?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think that's probably something you'd have to ask the manager, but I think it's good now that we've got, especially those two lads coming back, because they are very big players for us, and we've got good quality in every position now, so I think the manager sport the season, there'll probably be a lot more rotation this year. I think that's something that we've probably not leaned on as much in the past. We've always played quite a settled team. But now we have like good quality in every single position, so we should be able to take players in and out without the sort of standards of our performance being there. So
yeah, you've had. Sorry.
Go on, Karen.
No, you've had plenty. Just on that, you've had plenty of competition in your time here, both at centre back and left back. Is your aim in the next few weeks, few months, to make things as difficult as possible for the manager in the right way?
Yeah, always. I feel like I've done that my whole career. I feel like wherever I've been, there's been centre-halves brought in or players in my position who have been brought in to take it, and I'm still here. And I feel like I've built up a fair bit amount of credit with my performances for Newcastle since I've been here, so I'm confident that I'll continue to play.
Martin, then Kieran Kelly, please.
Hi, Dan. You are surrounded by Newcastle season ticket holders and fans, and therefore even more scrutiny amongst your family and friends in your personal life. Is that harder, and does it make it more difficult when the bad results do happen?
Yeah, I'll go back to what I said before. I feel it affects us less now. I feel like, to be perfectly honest, I really don't care what anybody thinks genuinely. As long as my teammates sort of have that respect for us and know that I'm doing things well, and the manager does, then everybody else's opinion doesn't really matter. I understand that there will always, whatever I do, there'll be people's opinion who said that this person should be playing, or I shouldn't be playing for England, or I shouldn't be doing this. But I feel like I just control what I can control, and sort of everything else will sort of take care of itself.
And how far do you feel the team is off its best form at the minute?
Yeah, inconsistent. I think you've seen bits of it. I wouldn't want to put a percentage on it, but I feel like you've seen some games, the Benfica game, for instance, where we've really sort of clicked and gone. But I feel it is that sort of consistency, and I think it does come down to a bit of a mentality that every game is the same, and it doesn't matter who we're playing and where we're playing, home, away, that we sort of hit those standards. And I know it's there, and it's, as I said, it's not something that I'm particularly worried about, because I do know that we've got the capability to do it. It's just about producing that.
Kieran, please.
Hi, Dan. The manager said there was a lot of analysis after the weekend. How painful was that for the group, and what did you learn, I guess?
Yeah, very painful when you sort of see how far off what we expect from ourselves. Yeah, it is painful to watch, but I feel like that's the best way to learn. I feel like you've got to have some uncomfortable conversations sometimes, and the manager's quite good at doing that, and always very honest with what he says. But I feel that's the only way that you learn. And I've said it before, it's very easy to look past that performance and not really analyse it and just take it as a one-off. But there will be things in there and common themes that we've probably had with a lot of our away performances this season and home maybe, that we could change and affect. And I think consciously just looking at it and thinking about it can only help.
Have you been surprised by the mentality away from home and what you kind of need to change, I guess?
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's like if I knew it, I would do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's frustrating. I think it comes down to mentality, but as I said, I think it's more the manager will look at that, and I'm sure he'll come up with a plan and what we can do better and how we can win games. And probably, I alluded to it before a little bit, probably just being a little bit more ugly with stuff. I think we're well known a few years ago for, I don't want to say the word, but something housery. And like probably a lot of the stuff that's come in is pushed away from that. But I think sometimes like if you go away from home, sometimes like it's important to not be beat as well, and pick up points and keep yourself ticking along. As long as you're winning your home games and you're not getting beat those away games is better. But we've not done that well enough at the moment, so I think that's probably something we'll look at also.
Mark Douglas, and then the gentleman in the white T-shirt at the back, please.
I'm quite interested in that you said there about the sort of dark arts thing. Why do you think that's sort of been? Is it a conscious thing that you maybe haven't been doing it as much recently?
Not really. I think probably the first year that we made the Champions League, we were probably more of an underdog, and teams probably didn't respect as much as they probably should have. I think you probably saw it with Notts Forest last season. I think you just expect to turn up and beat those, and I think we were always like quite ugly and bully teams, and that was the way that went about it. But I feel like as you progress and want to push on, you move away from that because you bring in better quality players and you play a different football. But I think there's always a place for that in the game. Like Arsenal, for instance, are quite good at doing that, but are also playing very, very good football and top of the league and performing well. So I think it's important that you can mix games up sometimes, and I think like possibly sometimes we might be, especially on Sunday, been a little bit too nice when we could have sort of maybe been a bit more compact and been a bit more resilient.
Is it almost getting some of that underdog mentality back, even though you're favourites tomorrow?
Yeah, I've spoken about this before. I think it's like you can still have an underdog mentality when you're not the underdog, and I think that's important sometimes for any team. I think the best teams in the world have still got that ability to do it, so it's, I'm sure it's something that we'll look at.
And the gentleman in the T-shirt, please, Sam.
Hi, Dan. As a defence player, what means to you to don't have Iñaki Williams, Nico Williams, Ojan Sacet in the other side? It's like good for you, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, definitely good. I think if the sort of Athletic Club's best players, so I think they can cause problems for any team in the world. I think they've shown that in La Liga and the European competitions as well. So yeah, it always helps. But I would say that would never underestimate Athletic Club. I think they've got a very good team. I think it's amazing how they've been so competitive with choosing only Basque players. I think that is crazy. It does seem crazy to me how competitive they are. And, yeah, it'll be a very, very tough game, and we are expecting a tough game.
I think we're done. Uncle Lee.
Dan, Paul Dummett used to be quite famous for getting 7 out of 10 in games. Is that the minimum you ask of yourself on a match day?
You only give us 5 out of 10s, to be fair. I'd take a 7 out of 10 off you. Go on, ask again, sorry.
I mean, is that the minimum you ask of yourself when you...
Yeah, I think so. Listen, I think...
Take that mantle off him?
Yeah, I feel like it's just about consistency for me. I feel like if I can... The way I've explained it before is that there's players in this league that can hit 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10. Yeah. But do it inconsistently. But if I can hit my max, which is, in some people's opinions, a 7 out of 10, if I can do that consistently every single week, then I'll play more than them because I'm reliable, and I know sort of I can do it at this level, so I'm more than happy to be given a 7 out of 10 every week. Cheers. No worries, mate.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Did I get a turn that on?